Welcome back to Ron's Radio Corner. And that little bit of jazz music you're hearing there in the background isn't coming from this CC Radio EP Pro. And it's not coming from this CC Solar Observer. It's coming from this little novelty radio from Walgreens. Just a mini FM auto scan radio. It's a CNDG-620. And it's the radio that we're going to be talking about on this episode. So stay tuned. So today what we have is this tiny little novelty radio that was being sold in Walgreens stores. This one was bought for me as a Christmas gift a few years back. Someone who knew I liked radios thought I might appreciate this tiny little stocking stuffer. And it's a cute little radio. I think at Walgreens I saw these selling for about $5. Amazingly, I've seen pretty much this same radio on Amazon in a different color scheme selling for $15. Now for $5 it's a cute novelty radio, the type of thing that you might enjoy just having on the shelf or maybe on your desk at work, and every once in a while for kicks you might throw it on and show people, hey, it really does work, it really is a radio. For $15 there are a lot of other radios out there that do a lot more than this, and some of them even capture some sort of retro novelty vibe. Now, what is a novelty radio? Novelty, according to the dictionary, is the quality of being new, original, or unusual. It can also be a small and inexpensive toy or ornament. Now, I imagine that this radio might qualify as both those things. It's unusual, it's new, it's different. At the same time, it's sort of a toy, it's an ornament. I look at novelty radios as something that you buy not because you're looking for the performance of it, but because you're looking at the way it looks. And I apologize, you might be hearing the microphone might be picking up a slightly noisy ceiling fan above me. But, you see all sorts of novelty radios. Some of look like cans of soda and ketchup bottles and, cars and you name it. And really you're buying this because of what it looks like and the fact that it's a radio is sort of secondary. Oh, look, it's a radio that looks like, a soda can or, a cartoon figure or something. I have other radios that I think sort of qualify as novelty radios in my collection. One that's made an appearance before is that Prunus J160. It's definitely a retro radio. It's sort of trying to capture that that yesteryear styling. Something from the 40s or 50s. I would say, it's not a replica because as far as I can tell, it doesn't really look like any radio from that time period. It just sort of captures the style of it. This I also think of as a novelty radio, and I can tell you I bought this little transistor radio. It actually says transistor there. I bought this transistor radio absolutely 100% because I love the way it looked, not because I thought, oh wow, this is going to be an amazing little pocket radio that's going to outperform other pocket radios. To me, novelty radios are something that you're buying primarily because of the way it looks, and the performance of it is secondary. Now, this radio here, I think, the people who designed this tiny little radio did a great job of sort of evoking the idea of what a radio from the 30s or 40s or maybe the early 50s should look like. Bakelite style case, the two-tone colors. Obviously, because of the size, it doesn't have any sort of dial, because you can't tune it that way. It is just a little mini auto scan. But you look at it and you sort of instantly know what error they were going for. As far as it being a radio, like I said, for $5, I think the thing that's amazing is that it really is a little working radio. And you heard me play some music on it just a few moments ago. But if I were to turn this back on, and right now it's going to be on the channel that we were listening to, that bit of jazz music that was coming over my FM transmitter, which is now paused. So we're going to reset this, and we're going to do a little band scan.
There is even research that there is
and maybe it'll help if I put the antenna up a little bit.
Station yesterday morning. Yeah.
much might be the boss thinking, well, this gentleman
And
now
I
has
think
a family
we've
to
wrapped
provide
around.
for. Let's put him on the track.
So let me turn that back off. I didn't really count, but I think somewhere we got something close to about a dozen channels there. Not bad for a tiny little radio that costs about $5. This one runs on 2 AA batteries. The batteries just kind of pop in there in the back. I was trying to think if I've ever had to replace the batteries that I put in this thing, 3 or 4 years ago. If I have, it's maybe once, but I don't use it a ton, but such a small radio, I imagine those 2 batteries probably could keep it powered for a really, really long time. As a novelty radio, that radio that you want to, like I said, keep at your desk at work, maybe have a little home office or something where you put some little cute things that you want to display. This is a great little radio at $5. At $15 is obviously better choices out there. And I think that's one of the things that sort of amazes me. One, that that for $5, it really is a working radio capable of picking up, close to a dozen stations. At least here. Obviously in an office building, your results, could differ. At the same time, I'm just amazed that there are so many choices out there for radios that are really, really inexpensive. Some of them even kind of do a good job of hitting that nostalgia look, but this one is really obviously limited to what it can do. It's a little too bad, or it's sort of a shame that someone hasn't made a slightly bigger version of this, maybe with more capabilities, because it is kind of adorable. If it was about the size of the J160, and had the ability to do AM, FM, and Bluetooth, that it would probably be an adorable little radio and worth spending $15 on or $20, but it's not it's not useless. It really is something that you can kind of tune in a local station. I do from time to time sort of rotate through radios, and I have pulled this one out, and listen to some music with my FM transmitter, which will probably get its own little video at some point. I have definitely thrown on some music, had it playing on a radio in my home office, and then put this little radio on and taken this little radio with me as I've gone into another room, just to kind of keep the music kind of portable with me. And recently I had a cookout, and during the cookout I actually brought out this little guy, which I don't use very often, but I put that outside, and I had music playing from my laptop that I thought was sort of cookout appropriate. And I had it going over my FM transmitter and was able to pick this up, outside. And at the same time, I took this little guy and I had this sitting on this table. And so every time I walked into the house, this little radio was playing the exact same music as outside. And even though this radio is this tiny, tiny little radio with such a tiny little speaker, it actually did a pretty good job of playing loudly enough where every time I walked in, I could hear the same music and know what was playing, and kind of feel like I hadn't walked away from the party and felt so isolated. Also, let me know if maybe I needed to switch my playlist or something else. So it really was useful. And I would say if you have an FM transmitter, a little radio like this is kind of a lot of fun to broadcast. Either your choice of music or old-time radio shows. So that's it. I don't know what more I can say about it. It is a tiny little radio. It's cute. It was $5, and for $5, it's kind of amazing that it's as functional as it is. I do see on Amazon about 15, and for 15, there's just obviously a lot better choices. There is another YouTube channel that has taken a look at this radio. There's actually a few YouTube channels that have taken a look at this radio, and I stumbled upon this channel maybe a few days ago and thought to myself, oh, it's interesting, I have that radio, and I was wondering what in the world I was going to say about it, because what do you say? It's a radio that plays. This gentleman went about 20 minutes talking about the radio, and he actually tears it apart and shows you what's on, how this thing is built. So I'll see if I can find a link to that channel and put the video in the description if anybody wants to go over and look at that video and get an idea of just how this little guy is built. But for me, if you're looking for a little novelty and you come across one, yeah, sure, pick it up. It's a lot of fun for $5. It's $15. Spend your money on something else. But anyway, let's let the little radio play us out. Thanks for watching.
Up.